Welcome into episode 113. If you are on the audio podcast, and you probably don't know that anything's different, but we are in the studio that we've been talking about.
We didn't really name drop studio. We kind of just said we're up to something. This is what we're up to.
That's true.
This is it.
And we've gathered everything from the history of, I guess, us as NYCFC fans and the podcast, and kind of compiled it every which way around this whole room. And I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And I'm happy to be back to kind of having a home for the pod.
I think this studio is kind of throwing us off a little bit. I think the fact that it felt like we took a break too, but we didn't. With our last game being the draw, where Baki scores, and on the other side we immediately give up.
Soft penalty.
Very soft penalty. Our feelings on the referees this season hasn't changed. It's just been ridiculous how poor they've been. Never a pen for me. I thought when they looked at it that they were going to overturn it, but not our.
Well, it's unlucky for Sands too, who has kind of had a tough time. I guess you could call it getting back into the team, because he was out on injury. It was a mixture of factors, and then Pereira has come in and looked like an absolute world beater, to the point where we've talked about potentially preferring Pereira over Sands on the field at the moment. Right. So giving up that pen is a big hit to the morale and to the confidence of him. And I think of the team too. I'm not sure at this point, is this like the season is chalked episode? I honestly don't know. That was a big home game to drop points in.
We should have won, but I really don't see it as a negative thing as much as I did in the moment. We get a win, we get a draw. That's much better than the past 6-7 game run that we were on, where we're pretty consistently losing. Not a loss is not a loss, and I think we're going to continue to live to fight another day, probably until Messi comes into town.
Yeah.
Or we go into Messi's town.
We go to Messi's town.
But yeah, the state of the club, what do you think? Your outlook on the club right now versus maybe last week or the week before?
The other day, the MLS, they put out their graphic of, as it stands right now, these are the playoffs, and it had the whole bracket. And what became apparent to me in that moment, seeing that, is our best case scenario. Our absolute best case scenario, what is most likely to happen, is we're going to either be the 8th or the 9th seed in a best case scenario.
And have to play.
And Miami is going to be the 8th or the 9th. Whatever we aren't, Miami's going to be that. And we have to play them in a play-in game, right? So we have our one-game playoff against them. And then, if by a grace of God, we beat God, the soccer god that is Messi, and his whole crew of animals, we then have to play Cincinnati. And we saw what happened. Was it a week or two ago?
Yeah.
When we played a Cincinnati that will be in way worse shape in the game that they swamped us 3-0 than they will be in the game against us, where they'll most likely have a week off because they're on a historic point run. So to me, does checking the we made the playoff box matter if Messi stomps us week 1 or Cincinnati kills us week 2?
I feel all making the playoffs will do for us is validate people we don't want to validate.
Dangerous game.
That's all it does, is that we drag this team by the hair to the playoffs, and that's why we all deserve jobs.
It's dangerous.
And I said we all deserve jobs, because it's more than one.
Yeah.
More than one person. But with Miami, I just feel, I feel like I wouldn't be able to enjoy it, because I know it's only short-lived. I know it's only going to be for a few years, and it's over. I just couldn't live with myself like that.
Well, the thing is, I think a lot of the fans at the moment are short-lived as well, of the team.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't been around.
Have you seen the amount of Messi fans versus Inter fans?
Full kit.
Full kit. When you're a 37-year-old man wearing a full kit.
Wait, where were we? We were somewhere random in Connecticut, and we saw a Messi Miami. Or no. I was up in Vermont when we took our break. I saw a full kit Messi in the middle of Vermont. Of all places, just in the sticks, in the woods.
Insane. If you're an adult wearing a full kit, you gotta just ask questions of yourself and ask
how
you got
the
there.
Shorts?
I don't know. You got a special order.
Yeah.
With the game, I don't know. I really don't know how to feel. Baki gets the goal, but it's kind of, you said it is from the keeper. Overall, I thought we played better than we have for the past few games, but not necessarily good at all. I wouldn't classify it as a draw that we should have won.
Well, I feel pretty removed from the game too at this point. It's only been so long, but we've, as a club and fan base, transitioned into the next international break. We don't have the Red Bulls until next Saturday, so we've got quite a layoff, and we've already experienced quite a layoff by now. And it's just, we have always talked about how we don't like the team taking breaks because it always goes poorly for us, and it's just been kind of quiet in general. I don't know if that leads to all of us kind of group thinking that we are in for a long winter.
Well, one thing is I was going to say that I would hope that with the break, it would allow some of the guys that were injured to kind of rest up. But it seemed none of the injuries coming out of that game with Baki, Burke, and Tiago and Maxi, which is another story I'll get to in a second. But all three of those guys coming out with minor injuries that are going to be fine, and maybe they could use the extra time that they're going to get from this little break. But Maxi posting that his season's done, and that is that was probably the biggest pain from this season so far, which is weird because he really was only here for a blink of an eye, and he's gone already.
I don't know, for Maxi at his age, I don't know what this really means for him. I don't know if he already had surgery. I just am worried with him at his age, like
his body,
the physicality and what it's actually going to take to get back. And then once you are back, we've seen, even in our club history, but across every sport, once you have an injury like that, there's some players that just never come back. For us, Hebert was that. Hebert was on a tear, a record-setting pace. I think only Villa had a better game-to-goal ratio. He gets the ACL and he comes back and is just a shell of the human that he was. So I hate it for Maxi too, but I think a lot of the good qualities that Maxi provides to our team right now, he can do without an ACL. In the way that as a coach and as a locker room leader and a morale leader, he can still do that, which would be very helpful. And as much as if he could be on the field, that would be best case scenario. But we won't lose that part of Maxi, which I think we desperately needed since week 1. And unfortunately, it took us 27 weeks to get what we needed. And there's responsible parties for that, and everybody knows who they are. But we can still leverage Maxi in that way, even though the knee is not okay.
Yeah, when you're watching a 34, 35-year-old Maxi busting his ass to get back from an ACL, and you're this young dude that can't even sprint 30 yards without looking like you're dying, you got to look at that and be, okay, I got to get something together. I got to fix this. I have to be better. I have to be in the gym as much, if not more than that guy.
It's going to be hard to from the sideline. It's going to be really hard to when you don't have that guy barking at you on the field.
Yeah.
And now Chanot's gone. So I don't know. I honestly don't know who on the team is barking.
Alfredo, he's got to start.
I guess.
We're at that point.
And for a moment, I thought we were punished by the soccer gods. When Burke gets subbed out, and then the last 10 minutes of the game, Tiago is, not the club. And Tiago is literally hobbling around the 18-yard box, not leaving it. Appears that he can't run if he needed to. Yeah. Everything came out that they're both good, but for a moment, I was like, hey, this is what, not we deserve, but this is what Cushing or David Lee or the front office kind of deserve. You put us in a position where you ship out club legend center back who, I guess at the least you probably could have kept him as depth, but that's clearly not something that Chanot wanted to deal with because they told him he was depth, I'm assuming, and he said, well, I'm going home. And then they said,
that's one theory.
See you later. And he called them on their bluff, I guess.
That's a theory.
Yeah, that's all I can imagine is him being unhappy with playtime.
But I think it was telling the state of the people, the club, and the powers that be within it, that in that NYCFC 2 game versus Philly, we saw Justin Hack and we saw Nico at center back. We saw these dudes actively getting reps in important games for them, for NYCFC 2, because I think the club saw and thought exactly what we did, which was, oh no, if they go down, our already probably over season is definitely over.
Yeah.
So we got to get these guys, at least get some guys that are able to play on the field.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It has to be somebody. We have a lot of really exciting kids on NYCFC too.
Yeah.
MD Myers, legit Golden Boot leader in NYCFC too. I believe at some point earlier in the season, Jonathan Jimenez was either tied with him or had that himself, and now MD has taken him over. And then you said Nico, he's gotten a debut for the first team. And then you have your Hack, your Turnbull, your Kevin. I turned on the NYCFC 2 game. These guys have all been first-team players for a long stretch of games this year. But they're starting NYCFC 2. So I don't know what that says. The quality of our first team has probably been less than what we want it to be.
That speaks a lot of volumes, but I think the fact that we aren't calling those dudes up in what we as fans consider very pivotal games that we should be winning and pushing for, we're not even calling those dudes up that could potentially help us because they're doing the playoff push of their own. And it kind of, I don't know, it tells you where the mindset is for the clubs.
Yeah.
I honestly think that we value a next pro championship over an MLS Cup right now.
At the moment, probably, because one is way easier to get than
Yeah,
the
but
other.
like one, I feel even making the playoffs makes you more money than winning MLS Next Pro.
Yeah, it's silly. But
Like-
we've been doing that all year. MD and Jimenez have been putting in the service that is required to have these accolades that they currently have in that MLS Next Pro. And I guess Gabe, to be fair, got called up from NYCFC too. He only got, 3 or 4 runs from us, and then we just shipped him to Tel Aviv.
Shipped him to some, who cares?
Talib Baki as the only striker.
As all of the commentators on every single game is, we'll just wait till they get their 9. Wait till they get their 9.
I don't see how that. I don't know. I don't know how when the 9s you have on the roster are just Baki. Baki.
Even before
How
that,
do you send him out?
it was just Gabe, and he wasn't bad, but he wasn't amazing. And so we go and get Baki, we go and get a couple of guys, and then we ship out Gabe. Like that made no sense to me at all.
Yeah.
It just shows that there's no serious intent behind the season anymore. To me, I don't think there is.
I just don't think there's any thought happening, period.
I
I was going to
just
say
don't
thought
understand.
behind anything.
I
Yeah,
don't understand how that could happen.
but yeah, I don't know how you level any of the moves that we made.
No, none of it. And
None.
the moves that we haven't made,
Yeah.
which, okay, is it more important to make a playoff push in the MLS, or is it more important to finish with the highest score in MLS Next Pro?
Or how does Gabe get sent out and on the same day you're not calling up MD,
Right.
JJ, somebody from that team? Because we do not have another striker
That's what I'm
on our
saying.
first team roster as a professional soccer team. That's just, it doesn't even make sense that that's a real sentence.
And then you have Justin Hack and Nico playing well,
Yeah.
but never, you're telling me they can't come in and get minutes for Thiago while he's literally playing with one leg and hopping around the field?
Yeah.
That is
He looked
insane
like-
to me.
He actually looked worse than Tavon in the
Yeah.
playoffs that one game.
Well, because I think Tavon was putting on a show
I don't know. Why would you?
because he loved the booze,
Shout out Tavon too. He got called up to the Jamaican team.
which is a nationality switch.
It was a good move for him because I'm not even sure he's the best all-time NYCFC right-back American that could be selected for the national team right now.
Right.
With Scully existing.
Yeah, no, Scotty is insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy that he's actually developed into the player that he is, considering he didn't play at all for us.
But I think it's good for Tavon. Same with Lenich. He's been called up every window, I think, so far, but same with him. He'll be competing these 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That'll help when he comes back.
He needs to do something. He needs to compete somewhere.
Where do you, in terms of hotness of the seat?
I wouldn't
From-
be able to sit on it.
Not from from a fan perspective, but from a CFG or an FO perspective, the seat's in the freezer, right? Like,
Not at all.
what do you think the FO's thoughts are on Cushing at the moment?
Well, so how, as a manager, typically you stand on the touchline and you direct and things like that. And Cushing
You don't sit
prefers to sit.
Bite your nails and don't worry about your job.
So I feel in the case that they want him to sit in a seat period, he's gonna be standing up. So he's not even feeling the seat at all.
Okay, that's one way to take it. See, I thought it was nerves. Every time I see Cushing, what I see in his head is, oh well, I'm getting fired. But I could see that one where I'm so comfortable. He's just sitting there with Medi. Medi's out. He was on the touchline talking to him during a game. I didn't even know that was allowed. I thought it was a one manager per
box.
per box, I guess. But in that same way, there were rumors before the Toronto Leagues Cup game
Right.
that he was out. So I don't know how you could be that close.
Right, and far now.
I don't know how you could be 90 minutes away from being okay with firing him if you're the FO, and then be very comfortable with him now.
Right.
So my optimistic self thinks that we're probably close. But I think the playoffs
It's going to be the end of the season.
factor. I think the playoffs are their decision.
I think, well, because I don't think that they want an interim manager.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think that they want that.
I want.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I want to know whoever the next guy is going to be the guy for a while, even if that's 6 months to a year. I want to know that's what it is. And I would prefer a little more transparency. I understand we have the facade of the Yankees ownership and corporate and all that stuff. A little bit more transparency. I don't want them to come out and be, yeah, dude, we're gonna fire Cushing at the end of the season. But if he makes playoffs
That's
or
the
not,
point. You can't say that.
Can't.
Because then why show up to the games if you're Cushing?
You're getting paid.
I guess a paycheck, yeah. But then you're really not fighting. At that point,
thing is, I really Cushing.
As a
really,
guy?
I really wish that it was going better and that he was the guy.
Yeah.
It was very clearly our guy forever. I don't see any evidence of it. And I would love to I would talk to that dude, no lie, for 9 hours in a row and not, I'd have the best time of my life.
Yeah.
But I just don't see the evidence that he's gonna ever change and be a massively winning coach in the men's game.
I guess in your mind, what has been the biggest offense, or I don't know what you would call it, the biggest Cushingism that you can't move past it?
I just think what we thought were gonna be the biggest perks of Cushing were the things that ruined the locker room. What every single piece of everything that we were building is gone for every reason that we thought was going to be positive for Nick Cushing. We thought the fact that he was so from the club, he made the song after we won the cup. He had relationships with the players that other managers wouldn't have had. He really cared about the players, and that was going to be the thing. In my opinion, that mentality made them walk all over him.
Yeah.
And at that point, he's been, in my opinion, he's probably been walked over all season. And so now he's at the point where he's in the hot seat. And somebody who's in the hot seat and has never had control is going to do outlandish things to get control again. Piss off Chanel and ship him off. Oh, I don't care who you are. You're gone if you're not listening at this point.
When you get to the end of the semester and your grade is not where you want it to be.
You gotta go beg, dude.
You're going to beg, or you're going to do the outlandish things that it takes to get that markup, because you need those credits.
Dude.
And it's, or even when you're trying to do anything and
right.
it gets down to the final hour, all right, well, now I have to be serious. You overcorrect. So you've been so far this way, and really we just need you to get to the middle. If you're at 0 miles per hour, we just need you at 50. But then you're, all right, I have 6 weeks, I'm going 1,000 miles an hour now.
Or think about it this way, back when we worked together and I was a manager. As a manager, was I ever really, I was the lad's lad. Get through this together, guys. You guys are gonna look out for me because I'm looking out for you. And then it would never happen. And what I'd have to do is literally go from 0 to 100.
Yeah. And
start doing outlandish things, bro.
Well, I don't know. I feel you didn't even get to that point, which
not with you, because for you,
I see it, yeah.
But
I know what you mean, yeah.
So it's the same thing. I just feel
it's when the district manager is going to show up. Holy shit, we have 1 hour to make this store. Meet every procedure.
Oh my God.
Check every box.
All of a sudden, I gotta get out of this office, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. He would be an amazing coach to maybe go back to the women's game and continue to do what he was doing over there, which was really, really successful.
Or I think go somewhere with less stakes.
Somewhere where he's not gonna. I don't know if this is his managing style because he knew the guys coming in, a promotion from within type of thing. Where dude, I used to talk all kinds of shit about this job in this position, and now I'm the dude, and now I have to act I care. Whereas if you go somewhere else and you're an external person coming into a situation, you can kind of lay the foot down and then create relationships off of that.
Oh, and I think for as much as NYCFC doesn't get play in the traditional media, and fuck them anyways, because we honestly, we don't care about you as much as you don't care about us. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's probably not the eyes that we want either. And I just get the feeling that despite the lack of that traditional media and the news stations and us being the Giants or the Jets or something for the city, the lights are still bright. Our fans are very, very loud when we don't you or when we're not supportive of what you've given to the club so far, which hasn't been good. And I think that creates a lot of unnecessary stress, and not unnecessary, it is kind of necessary because stresses need to be applied if you're not doing your job. Right. And some people crack under pressure, and that stuff is hard to get over. So I think and even in MLS, for whatever people want to say, it's not the 2000s anymore. This is a very competitive league with large fan bases across the board, especially depending on what city you're in. If you go to Atlanta, if you go to Charlotte, St. Louis, Cincinnati, we're playing in front of 40,000 people. This is not, I don't know if there's Prem stadiums that can fill 40K people. And not all the MLS stadiums are either, so let me not say that. But we are on par with and above with our most popular clubs, with leagues that around the whole world. And that creates pressure. And I'm not sure, I think he might need to hone himself in a less competitive environment, and then maybe he can get back to a level this, which is crazy to say. And it's not really, because MLS is good, but...
Yeah. No, it's not a knock to him.
Melbourne City, I don't want to knock what they are, or Montevideo or something like that. I think the ultras or the fans of probably Montevideo for sure, or even Melbourne are crazy.
Right.
Or Yokohama, same thing, because around the world, they care way more than us about soccer. But I just think they're more willing because they have a traditional soccer mindset,
right,
where it's not the manager loses 3 games, all right, you're canned, you're out. They don't have that around the world from what I've seen. They're a lot more willing to be understanding how soccer works as a sport. These things happen. So it might allow him more breathing room to right himself when things go wrong, because with us, like I said, it's 3 games, it's 5 games. There's going to be banners in the supporter section for you, which
There's
is
people
crazy.
That really don't do it anymore.
They don't, and they don't care about your livelihood. They want your job.
And not that we've been super one way or the other all season. I feel like we've been pretty fair and down the middle, and blaming Nick for what Nick has done, blaming the front office for what the front office has done, being the players in certain situations, which I don't care who you are, what you say, what your experiences are. Players 100% are to blame in situations. You can't just say, no, unless you are controlling these guys with a literal controller, you got a remote and I tell you to go right and you go right. You absolutely can and have to blame the players in certain situations. But you look at the fact that graph came out, been well over a year of time elapsed, and he's won, 17 games in that time?
Yeah.
6 of them this year. I think we just got our 7th win.
Yep.
That just can't happen. And you look at the impact that's happening in Miami. The manager comes in and takes a literal bag of crap and turns it into gold. And yes, part of that is Messi, but Messi can only do so much. Those players physically had to get better or they were not going to play.
Well, because Tata demanded it.
Right. They had to physically adapt or they weren't going to be there. There's not going to be running for 30 yards and being winded. No. That's not going to happen on an Inter Miami team as long as Messi and that manager is there.
Well, and there were people, when he came in, was it Pizarro? He was their DP.
Right.
They cut him. They straight up cut him from his DP contract. They didn't even, and the window was open. They didn't try to deal him. They were, Tata's, I don't profile, and you're not going to be at the level of a replacement that I have, which is Messi. Nobody will be. But he's very decisive with the players that he does and does want. And you said if you mess up, you're out. And fair play probably to everybody on Miami, because almost everybody has seemingly stepped up, which is, it's a insane story. I don't know what has caused, whether it's Kremoski at 18 or Kamal Miller, all of a sudden we're getting Drake Calendar call-ups. I don't know, all these have stepped up.
Well, they're not only playing for the manager, but they're playing for Messi, and it's kind of when we're playing above our level at pickup, and I don't want to mess up because of this person.
Yeah.
There's that, but at the same time, it's a mentality thing, it's a respect thing, and I just don't know that there's massive respect for Nick Cushing. It just doesn't show. If there is, it just doesn't show. And I wish there was a way that I would believe it, but players coming out and being like, yeah, we respect him. You have to, dude. He pays your checks.
And I think to bring it back to, so we started the Cushing conversation with your biggest gripe of him, and I think what that was, to reiterate it, was we thought he was coming in as the locker room guy.
Right, and that would be a positive thing with Dan Campbell.
Right, and it was not positive.
It's not.
And I think for me, that was also a super big negative of Nick Cushing. But for me, I think the biggest thing is just the tinkering.
Right.
The tinkering was out of control. I think and I don't know, we're talking past tense.
Right. I'm like, that was.
Yeah.
Did you get the text that I did not get?
It has been, and it is. The tinkering is out of control. And that's not only formation, and Scott Churchill on Twitter put together records related to, I think, 6 different formations that we used this season. And we've been pretty shoddy across the board in all of them. Not really any major, we got a lot of wins with this one, but a lot of losses with it.
Just a lot of blue balls.
Yeah, it was a lot of bad across the board. But the fact that we're at 6 formations, and then the one thing that I don't think that tweet totally showed was, we can have a 4-2-3-1, right? And we played, let's say, 10 games in that. How many of those games was it the same players in that 4-2? Twice, maybe. Yeah. Maybe we had 5 different groups of personnel that played in that. The constant tinkering, the constant lineup change. We had guys that we thought were Nick Cushing guys, and we were okay, cool. It's fine if he's your guy. Hack at the start of the season. Started for Nashville, played his ass off. we're, as I think the resident Hack supporters in the podcast and the NYCFC community, we're let's go. It's his Hack's breakout season. And then I don't think he started week 2. And then didn't start until week 6 when Sands left on international duty, and then Hack came back in. And it's okay. And then the same thing happened with the roundabout or the merry-go-round at one point of Turnbull, Alenet, Tavon, all that right back. You have to pick one of these guys, and you have to stick with somebody. You have to allow somebody to get into form, especially when we are the youngest team in the MLS. You have to allow these young guys to find themselves. And if you're going to play Alenet for 20 minutes, he's not going to play the next week. He's going to play 40 minutes. And he's going to be a starter, and then we're not going to see him for 3 months. Right. How do you expect this 18-year-old that is 10,000 on the other side of the globe from his home to, I guess, not only back you, but find comfort? How is he going to find comfort?
Right. Well, and that's the thing where you look again, and Miami are doing something that is crazy to go from that bad to that good that fast, and it doesn't happen often. But think about how fast they found their best lineup. Took them 2 days. Yeah. They found their best lineup. They found out who are the players that we're going to succeed with and who are the ones that we're not going to.
Yeah. And who are subs too. Right. It's so funny because I think we've all watched so many Miami games all of a sudden, and it's given me a different light because we know too much about all the players and about Cushing and everything, right. And we have our preconceived notions. We can look at Miami as a clean slate. Every single Miami game, he's going to start the same lineup. Gomez and the other kid, I can't remember his name, but Gomez and this other kid, they're always going to be subbed in at the 70th minute. Yep. Every single game that's happening.
The striker, they're going to change the striker.
And Farias is going to come in.
At the right.
Every single game.
Because he's got
a structure. Yeah. He thought about it before kickoff.
The other side to that argument that you brought up, that the tinkering here, which I fully agree with, and I think he'll claim that this person's injured or this person's on international duty or XYZ is a blah blah blah. Yes, that is somewhat true, and I will give you a pass for certain things. So Thiago going out wasn't good. You weren't given very much depth. You weren't really backed in this transfer window. Either one of them, pick and choose. We really weren't that backed. Not getting a 9 until you have 10, 11 games left. It's not ideal. Now, those aren't circumstances that promote winning. But at the end of the day, if you had just picked a lineup and stuck with it, and you replaced only the pieces that were injured or that were on international duty, we wouldn't have to have civil wars about Hack and about O'Toole and about Barraza or Freeze or any of these players, or why are we playing Talles? Why didn't we play Talles? Why did Talles look he didn't care? None of those things happen when you have consistency and accountability. Yeah. It just doesn't happen. And so I think a lot of people were calling for us to give our opinion, and for me, it's Cushing probably shouldn't be our manager for this upcoming season.
It would take the Eastern Conference Finals appearance for us not to get trounced in it. If we put on a good performance, maybe we got screwed by it.
I don't think so.
I'm tired of the ref excuse anyways. I don't know. Or I don't know.
It's just the same as last year.
MLS Cup final appearance.
I don't even know that, because in order for us to win an MLS Cup, other teams would have to go through tragedy. Yeah. They would have to lose key players.
You don't think we could just find for him?
No. And it's not to have a bad outlook, but there's no evidence of it at all. There's zero evidence you can point at and be, okay, that right there, that shows me that we could turn this around. Not only that, but you actively look at the other teams in the league, the LFCs, the Nashvilles, the Miamis, the Cincinnatis. You look at those teams and you literally said it yourself. We do not have one player on our team that can do what one player on LAFC could have done. That, we're dribble past a couple people.
Oh my God.
Anyways. Wow. But yeah, we don't have a single player that can do that. Yeah. And those are the reasons why we're not going to, if we do make the playoffs, it is literally just to say in 5 years from now, hey, we never missed playoffs except for that one season.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. I don't know. I guess, there probably is not a scenario. The only thing that worries G has deep pockets and deep connections where I don't know if they could find another Ronnie Dyla diamond in the rough or whatever it is, but it just sucks because it doesn't feel like there's any of those marquee guys out there during the off season for us to replace them with. And it extra sucks because during the last off season we were all begging for players, but we were also begging for a manager, and we had Tata as an option. Realistically,
don't
CFG can
think
write a
so.
blank. They can write a blank. Unless the Messi thing
The
was
only
already
thing-
in the works.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, if it wasn't though, he could write a blank to anybody on the planet.
True.
And so we had potentially Tata.
I
Was a free
I wanted
agent.
Jurgen, man.
That was somebody I don't know if that was a real option. I
No,
don't know if
just
we'd
so
ever
we
do
like
it.
that.
That was something we wanted. A lot of people call for Dome to come back. I also don't think that's realistic because I don't think Dome has any interest.
Yeah, none of the players really.
After what happened in the past with the whole outfield thing, and I think he was also very upset from a transparency perspective, which is crazy as a manager to be. I'm not allowed to say enough.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that probably soured the taste in his mouth for us.
Well, we were much more Yankee corporate back then.
Yeah. And then there was the other guy from Atlanta that got fired. I think Gerard Moreno, something like that, who has been pretty good. He fell out of graces at Atlanta, but I think that was one of the people that he's still available now, so maybe that's an option. But I just don't see a ton of marquee options available for management this offseason. And it sucks because both player personnel wise and manager personnel wise, it feels like we're a whole season behind because we just did nothing last year.
Yeah, I want to, in an ideal world, if there really isn't a marquee guy, I don't really know that I would want a marquee guy.
I don't know if a marquee guy would want us.
That's another thing too, is looking at our roster. I do really love that.
Although on paper, it's nice. Minus no 9, it's pretty nice.
There's some guys you got to get rid of though too.
Yeah.
But
And
I think
a good manager would.
Yeah, for sure. Wouldn't
And,
even.
That's the thing though. I don't know.
Would they be banished to NYCFC too until?
Well, is the FO going to back a new manager anyways?
I don't know.
They didn't back Cushing really.
But I think if we go through, identify throughout the league who are really outstanding assistants right now that look they're ready to take that next step to being a full-time manager and really giving them a shot. If you take the assistant from Nashville right now,
Or poach somebody.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Or you could poach a
coach.
head manager.
Yeah, I just don't know that you take, if Nashville comes second place in MLS Cup this year, I don't know that you poach their coach and say, hey, you want to come rebuild again?
That happens though.
It does. It's rare though. I feel if
It
you
happened
go,
with Ronnie in the build.
True.
Dude,
Yeah.
in the worst way. He did the going from Man U to Man City thing in the Belgian league.
Yeah.
After one season. After winning it with Liège,
Ronnie's about his bag.
that man, and he loves a challenge.
Yeah.
He loves it. And then he did his Ronnie Roar in the derby. He beat them.
That's crazy.
I don't know. There's something about that man where I don't remember how old he is, but in 10 to 20 years, he might be the Pep ear. I don't know.
The heir apparent.
The heir apparent. I don't know.
Yeah.
We got to get him back in the CFG system though.
I just see us maybe poaching somebody and bringing over some mentality, some proper tactics, and not just another name that it's going to come in and out of the building and whatever.
Yeah.
So
that's 113.
Yeah,
A lot more Cushing talk than I thought we would have.
Yeah. Well, it's slow. T's and P's to Maxi and his knee. Terrible. Yeah, I think we should have looked better. I don't know how much better we'll sound. That kind of
work in progress.
That's up to technology. That's
a work in progress. And we have to fix the scarves for audio listeners.
Honestly, somebody clipped that jump scare. I'm a bitch. It's okay.
I always forget about audio listeners, and we do a lot of visual related Italian talking and stuff. But what that noise was, if you heard Justin yelp earlier, was the entire scarf fixture fell off the wall. So there's still work to do in the studio.
Yeah, and it's a work in progress.
It'll be ongoing. And I think we'll probably, one thing I want to do is a MTV Cribs type thing, but for the studio. Maybe go around and pick up each thing and explain why it's important to us or something, and
clean her up for the gram so we can show her off.
Give people some background about the pod, because we probably have a lot of new listeners that haven't been around with us to know the championship run history, at least our version of it, and traveling the way to Charlotte and going to every home game and all the different things about it, playing pickup outside Yankee Stadium, all the different things that kind of have made our fandom what it is and our podcast what it is. So.
And our connection really to the club.
Yeah. So look out for that. There's no timeline.
No timeline.
Yeah.
Who
and
knows?
there should be no expectation.
We're up to something. Just say that.
There should be no expectations.
So yeah, I think it's good to be back in front of the cameras though. There's a certain this place is hot in general.
Yeah.
But there's a certain heat that comes from the lights that just kind of turns on
Mm-hmm.
whatever is inside of us that allows us to be hosts.
The way that the bedroom episodes didn't.
Right.
Yeah, it
Or
felt a little too.
Those are kind of Sleepy Joes, and we need a little energy.
Yeah.
So these lights bring that.
So we'll be back after the derby, which
It's a long time away.
we won't be at.
I'm just bummed there's no soccer this weekend. Real soccer.
Yeah.
But the football kickoff weekend,
Yeah.
man, we gotta get out of here.
And just to leak it, he drafted Travis Kelce. He had the first overall pick in our
I still
fantasy
think it's
draft.
a great pick.
I think it's a good pick still. But he drafted Kelce 1 overall. So that kind of tells you about how his Thursday was yesterday.
It was terrible. No, my whole week from Tuesday was ruined.
Yeah.
Shot. I found out Maxi was out for the year. I found out Kelsey was done for the week. And then slowly every tight end is starting to...
Oh, and then I was going to say I could relate to the New York fans. I have Waller and Daniel Jones as my stack in fantasy. So Waller hamstring. Hamstring is not, I don't know. Never mind. This isn't a Giants podcast, and it never will be.
I just think if the football, the new Lions,
The brand new Lions.
if they can get a dub, the New York football Giants can get a W.
Yeah. And just to give people background on us, I thought maybe tell people more about us. Patriots fan,
Steelers fan.
Steelers fan,
I feel like a lot of people know that though already.
Yankees, Sox over there. And yes, you
City, United. That's
City
why
United for Prem.
That's why this ball is lit up in red.
Yeah.
To show my alliance to the occasional red side.
I was gonna say something crazy.
Never the Dead Bulls though.
Never, ever, ever. Yeah, that's
That's
us.
her.
Maybe more to come. That's 113. We'll catch you after the derby. Best of luck to the boys, to everybody going to the game. Hopefully the New Jersey Dugs behave themselves. I think they always do at Yankee Stadium because they know their place. So stay safe and enjoy the game.
Well,
For us, because we can't make it, so enjoy it.
Our staff isn't stupid enough to do what was done, to literally hurt people.
Release them to the wolves.
Yeah.
Bums.
So stay safe, guys. Is one that we wanted to make it out to, but wedding calls. Absolutely unbelievable.
Completely unfortunate. So I'll do it. Peace.
We'll see you guys next week.